Aitah for being friends with the girl who hurt my ex-friend. This is going to be a very lengthy post, so please bear with me. If you do not wish to read it, that is perfectly acceptable. Last year, on the first day of school, I entered the classroom feeling quite frustrated. I was meant to transfer to another school, but things did not go as planned, leaving me stuck there, having already severed all ties with my former friends. It goes without saying that it was not an ideal situation for me. After attending several classes, break time finally arrived. That is when I noticed a girl in the back, crying. Let's name her Luna. I had known her from previous years. We had always been in the same class, but we were merely classmates, not close friends. Nonetheless, I approached her, embraced her, and attempted to comfort her. As we talked, she revealed that she was crying because of another girl. Let's refer to her as Sarah. Apparently, Sarah had been ignoring her and behaving indifferently. When I suggested that she should not be concerned about someone like that, Luna confessed that she had feelings for Sarah and that she identified as gay. Although this is considered taboo in our religion, I felt a deep sense of compassion for her. Luna was such a kind-hearted and sweet individual that I decided to support her. I wanted to be her source of strength, assisting her in overcoming her attachment to Sarah and guiding her towards self-love instead. From that day forward, we became best friends, inseparable. In fact, she became my only friend. I had previously been part of a group of friends, but I had cut ties with all of them due to their toxic behavior and the pain they had caused me. I managed to overcome some of the trauma they inflicted, while others still lingered, especially since we were all at the same school, even in the same class. Encountering them each day was challenging. However, Luna acted as a common friend between me and them. She occasionally conversed with them, but I did not mind much because we had developed a profound bond like soulmates. We spent all our time together, laughing, joking, and even communicating through calls or texts once we got home. Our friendship felt perfect, and she treated me like an angel. Due to the deep care I had for her, I continued to advise her, offering steps to follow so she could move past Sarah and heal. At times, I was somewhat harsh because I wanted to protect her from any further pain. I knew exactly how damaging this type of attachment could be. I had endured something similar myself, and I wished to shield her from it. About 6 weeks into our friendship, a misunderstanding occurred. One of her so-called friends betrayed her by associating with Sarah. Luna observed them standing together, laughing and looking at her. She was heartbroken, cried profusely, and even experienced a panic attack. This was particularly alarming since she had a health issue that made stress dangerous for her. I comforted her, but also firmly advised that she needed to cut Sarah and that friend out of her life completely. I even warned her that if she ever spoke to that friend again, I would walk away because enough was enough. She completely agreed with me. Yet a few days later, I entered the classroom and saw Luna sitting with that friend, chatting and laughing as if nothing had happened. I felt anger simmering beneath the surface, but I chose to remain silent. Instead, I walked past them and ignored her for the remainder of the day. The following day, the same situation occurred. We hardly spoke at all. Only in one class, where she sat next to me, did we exchange a few words. At the end of our brief conversation, she asked, "Are you upset with me?" I simply replied, "No, I hold nothing against you," and that was it. That marked the last time we communicated for 3 entire months. Even though we took the same school bus and sat near each other, our interactions became increasingly distant. Initially, I greeted her when I boarded the bus, but she merely responded without making eye contact. Eventually, she stopped even responding verbally and would only nod. Observing this, I decided to give her space. She never attempted to reach out or explain her actions, not once in those 3 months. What hurt the most was not just that she abandoned me, but that after leaving me, she began associating with my former toxic friends, the very individuals I had severed ties with due to the pain they had inflicted. She appeared happy in their company, spending all her time with them, while I was left feeling utterly alone. Even on my birthday, she did not reach out to reconcile. She merely sent me a cold, generic message, "Happy birthday." I was so let down that I did not even respond. I simply liked the message and moved on. Much later, after my birthday had come and gone, something unexpected occurred. One day, while we waited for the bus after school, she walked up to me unexpectedly. We locked eyes for a few seconds in silence before she hugged me. I returned the embrace. We engaged in a conversation. I do not remember all the details, but at one point I inquired, "Why did you do this? Why did you leave me all alone when you knew I had no one else? Why didn't you try to mend things?" She told me that she did not want to re-enter my life until she had improved herself. She wanted to heed my advice, distance herself from unhealthy relationships, and become a stronger person before returning to me. She desired for me to be proud of her. I told her that this reason was insufficient. She could have simply communicated that from the beginning, and I would have understood. I would have gladly given her all the time and space she needed, even if it took months or years. However, abandoning me in that manner was not fair. I expressed to her, "You know how much I care for you, I would have understood, so why didn't you just tell me?" Her response, "I do not know, I have no justification." That response wounded me more than anything else. It was not something I could accept. We concluded the conversation, boarded the bus, and traveled in silence. But when I exited at my stop, she called my name and out of nowhere kissed me on the forehead. She then pleaded with me to unblock her so we could talk again and mend things. I was utterly stunned. Her abrupt display of kindness and affection left me perplexed, but I decided to unblock her. Later, she messaged me to apologize and ask for a second chance. Since I had already committed to keeping toxic individuals out of my life, I had established firm boundaries, one of which was never granting people second chances, because, in my experience, they only made matters worse. However, seeing her efforts and knowing that I still cared for her, I chose to give her another opportunity. But I informed her candidly that I could not guarantee that things would revert to their previous state. She needed to earn my trust again and rectify the harm she had caused. I thought that expectation was fair, right? But she rejected it. She said that if things would not return to how they were, she would prefer not to try at all. She apologized again, expressing her love for me, but asserted that it was better for us to part ways. At the end of her message, she mentioned that she had purchased a birthday gift for me long ago, but had never had the chance to present it. She asked me to accept it. I read her message but did not reply. What hurt me the most was that, although I offered her a chance to repair our relationship, she immediately presumed it was irreparable and gave up without even attempting to try. A few days later, a girl from school approached me and informed me that I needed to wait for her in class at the beginning of the day. So I did. When she appeared, she had Luna's gift with her. I attempted to refuse, but she insisted, stating that we were friends and needed to reconcile, and that it was not right for us to remain so distant. In the end, she handed me the gift and departed. It was a large canvas with a poem inscribed on it, one I absolutely adored and used to recite frequently in front of Luna. I was on the verge of tears upon seeing it, but I did not allow my emotions to take over. I had always refused to permit myself to feel weak over losing anyone, and I tried extremely hard not to care until eventually, I genuinely stopped caring. After a while, one of my old friends began getting close to Luna, and another girl who used to be my best friend before we drifted apart. It was evident that she was doing this to retaliate against me or to provoke me because she had tried to be friends with me again, and I had declined. She was toxic and had previously harmed me, so I was unwilling to let her back in. She started employing petty tactics with them, laughing loudly every time she saw me, acting overly friendly with them just to taunt me. Yes, I ignored her and pretended not to care, but deep down, it hurt, and it was painfully obvious they were doing it purely to elicit a reaction from me. The worst part, Luna continued to associate with them as if nothing was amiss. So I began to expand my social circle, engaging with more girls in class and making new friends. I refused to remain isolated while they reveled in the satisfaction of seeing me alone. It was during this time that I met Sarah, the girl Luna had feelings for. To clarify, this was not planned. I did not become close to her out of revenge or anything of the sort. It just happened. One day, we had a school trip, and I observed some girls discussing it in the class group chat. I joined the conversation and began chatting with them. I eventually sent Sarah a private message, asking if she had someone to accompany her. If not, we could go together. She agreed, and from there we started conversing and getting to know each other better. The day of the trip arrived, and we had an incredible time. We connected instantly. At one point, Luna's name came up. Initially, Sarah hesitated, likely because she was aware that Luna and I had been close. However, I reassured her that it was all right, and that is when I learned the other side of the story, the version Luna never shared with us. She always portrayed Sarah as the toxic one, claiming that Sarah ignored her and toyed with her feelings. But in reality, Sarah had been avoiding Luna because Luna was excessively possessive. She would become jealous of every one of Sarah's friends, wanting her completely to herself. If she ever saw Sarah laughing or speaking with someone else, she would become furious, block her for weeks, then unpredictably unblock her and act as if nothing occurred. Sarah, on the other hand, despised jealousy. She did not like feeling constrained or controlled. She had strong boundaries, which were the exact opposite of Luna's. Because of Luna's intense attachment, even the slightest action from Sarah would upset her and make her feel abandoned. Honestly, after getting to know Sarah, I realized that she was not nearly as bad as Luna had depicted her. All she did was establish boundaries. She never intentionally sought to hurt Luna or make her feel inadequate, unlike my former friends who actively sought to harm me. However, that was evidently not enough for Luna, as she wanted Sarah to be more than just a friend. Then, in the middle of our conversation, I discovered that Luna was still messaging Sarah occasionally, even though Sarah was ignoring her. This was amusing, seeing as Luna had explicitly told me on the bus one day that she had moved on from her. That moment was a revelation to me. Everything I had done for Luna, all the advice I had provided, the time I dedicated to helping her, and even the time she abandoned me, it was all in vain. She had not changed in the slightest. I felt profoundly betrayed. From that point on, Sarah and I grew quite close, practically inseparable. I believe Luna began disliking me for it, presuming I had befriended Sarah solely to spite her. But that was never my aim. And even if it was, why should I feel guilty? Luna had no qualms about associating with individuals who hurt me, and that is how our friendship came to an end. Not through a confrontation, not through closure, just like that, in the most vague, meaningless way possible. Yet even after all this, I never harbored hatred for her. When her birthday arrived, I texted her, wished her well, and even expressed my gratitude for the gift she had given me. And now, a whole year has elapsed. Sarah and my other old friends are off to college, some transferred to different schools, while Luna and I, along with a few others from our class, repeated the year to improve our GPA for university. We remain in the same class, but we pass by each other as strangers. Still, my gaze often finds her. Occasionally, I miss her so much that I even dream of her. A part of me hopes we could be friends once more, but then I remind myself it is not worth it. This is our final year of school, and after that, there is a good chance I will never see her again. Then again, she was genuinely a wonderful person. We shared many beautiful memories. And sometimes, I think perhaps she has not changed. Perhaps she is still the same, especially since she is still friends with my old friend group. Now, she seems attached to another girl who appears just as infatuated with her as she was with Sarah. I have no idea what their relationship is, but she has formed a new circle of friends, and she looks happy with them. Maybe she has even forgotten about me. Perhaps she even dislikes me now. She did not text me on my birthday, not even a simple, happy birthday. I have a suspicion that it might not have been her choice. Someone likely advised her against it, but regardless, I am overwhelmed with mixed emotions regarding her. Some days I long for her presence in my life. Other days, I cannot stand the mere thought of her. I do not know what to do. I feel as though I have transformed so much since last year, made numerous poor decisions, lost everything I had built, and had to start anew. So, should I reach out to her? Or should I simply leave everything in the past and move on? Is it even worth attempting to mend things? And was I wrong for becoming friends with Sarah, the girl who caused her pain? Story 2. Aitah for siding with my boyfriend against his girl best friend. I, 21 female, and my boyfriend, 22 male, have been in a relationship for almost 2 years, 1 year and 8 months, to be precise. Before I begin, I want to clarify that I am not the type of person who prevents my boyfriend from having female friends. I do not mind who he associates with because I trust that he would never disrespect me with any of his female friends. I am also new to Reddit. This is my first post, and English is not my first language, so please excuse any spelling or punctuation errors. He has known his female best friend, whom I will refer to as Mia for the purpose of this post, since they were born, as their mothers have been best friends since high school and happened to become pregnant in the same year. just a few months apart. They have constantly grown up together and have always shared a familial bond, with him referring to her mother as his aunt. Essentially, they have been raised as unbiological cousins with a sibling-like connection. I began dating my boyfriend a few months after I moved to his town, where he lived with Mia and a few of his closest friends from high school. They all decided to attend the same college and stayed in the same city. Initially, when we met, we did not immediately become a couple. Our relationship developed gradually because he had never needed to pursue someone romantically. In his previous 2 relationships, the women had always expressed interest first. Consequently, he has never navigated the process of showing interest in someone, and I was oblivious to his attempts. It probably took longer than it should have for me to realize that he was not just a friendly, attractive guy. Eventually, however, he asked me out on my first date, and we went on a few outings before making our relationship official. He wanted to ensure that we took our time and progressed at a pace we were both comfortable with, as he believed getting to know each other was more important than merely establishing a relationship status. During the period between when we first met and his official request for me to be his girlfriend, Mia advised him on how to interact with women without seeming inappropriate. I was unaware that she was giving him tips until we were talking late one night, and he shared how frustrating it had been. At the time, I thought he was just being friendly until Mia actually provided him with guidance, which he felt somewhat embarrassed to admit. This gave me the impression that Mia was sweet, but I didn't meet her until my boyfriend and I had been dating for nearly 5 months. She is often away traveling for work, so she was rarely available. The first time I met her was at my boyfriend's parents' house, which is quite large and has an expansive backyard where they hold gatherings with friends and family. I had already met my boyfriend's parents and siblings, 2 older brothers, aged 26 and 29, and 1 twin sister. But this was my introduction to his extended family, which, unbeknownst to both me and my boyfriend, included Mia. She had not been expected to be home for the family meal at his parents' house, so it was a surprise for everyone when she arrived with her mother and grandmother. Upon entering, she greeted everyone, and everything seemed fine until she began talking to me, though, in reality, she was communicating through my boyfriend. She would say things like, "I can't believe you brought your girlfriend here," or, "Is this the girl you were talking about?" But it never felt as though she was genuinely addressing me. Whenever she did speak to me, it came off more as patronizing rather than friendly. My boyfriend had informed me a while before I met Mia that she is known for her banter and tends to have a more boisterous and outspoken personality, which is perceived as tough. We never truly connected as friends, unlike my relationship with his sister, for example. Mia and I simply do not mesh well as friends, but interactions remained civil aside from the occasional backhanded comments and snide remarks. It didn't feel significant enough for me to bring it up with my boyfriend, as I didn't want to create unnecessary issues. The problems arose on my birthday, January 3rd, which was over a month ago as of this writing. My boyfriend had initially planned to surprise me with a party, as he values birthdays greatly, while I have never placed too much importance on mine, especially since my own celebrations became less significant after my father passed away on that date in 2018. He organized a surprise party at his parents' house since we were already planning to gather there for a belated New Year celebration. He decorated the walkway and kitchen with pink balloons and glittering decorations to the extent that it resembled a disco ball, which I absolutely loved. He even transformed the backyard, adorning it with decorations and acquiring a cake that looked like a wedding cake due to its size. To say I was not expecting much would be an understatement. I figured I might receive a present or two, as I was accustomed to his passion for birthdays and spoiling those he cares about. However, this was the first time he had gone to such lengths, and I was genuinely taken aback by the effort he had put into everything. I did get quite emotional for about 10 minutes before I composed myself, and we began the festivities. Everyone was enjoying good food and drinks, and I must say that my boyfriend's dad is likely the best cook I have ever encountered, no exaggeration. My boyfriend's sister and I chose not to drink alcohol. We had fruit punch. He even added edible pink glitter powder to it, which was adorable, since she is pregnant, and I prefer to avoid alcohol for personal reasons while being okay with the company of those who drink. Eventually, My boyfriend's parents went upstairs to relax in their bedroom, while his eldest brother, 29 male, decided to leave early, leaving just my boyfriend, his sister, his friends, Mia, and me at the party. As the night progressed, Mia became increasingly inebriated, taking shots with some of my boyfriend's friends and downing a significant number of cocktails. Soon, she was very drunk, stumbling around and clearly irritating my boyfriend, as she was a complete mess. Honestly, the party was one of the best I have ever attended. I haven't been to many, but the point stands, largely because I could see how proud my boyfriend was to see everything come together and how much everyone was enjoying themselves. The real issue arose when Mia approached me to engage in conversation. It began as typical small talk until she commented about the party, and I expressed my disbelief at how my boyfriend had organized everything and how thankful I was. That was when she stated that I should also be grateful to her because she could have had him if she had wanted to, which struck me as odd. I awkwardly laughed it off. She continued to dwell on the topic, insisting that she could have dated him, but I dismissed her comments, knowing from his perspective that there was no romantic connection and attributing her behavior to drunkenness. After she walked away, I returned to my boyfriend. To skip a few minor details, Mia ended up raiding my boyfriend's parents' liquor cabinet and became even more intoxicated, to the point where she could barely maintain her balance. My boyfriend decided to help her into an Uber, as she was colliding with decorations and nearly toppled the entire cake when she stumbled onto the table. I am uncertain about how much I can share, being new to Reddit and its guidelines, so I will refrain from providing every minute detail. I also respect my boyfriend's comfort level regarding what I share, even in this anonymous setting. However, when he assisted Mia from the house to the porch to wait for her Uber, she attempted to kiss him, but he pushed her away. My boyfriend has confided in me and a small number of trusted friends about how his ex-girlfriend sexually assaulted him when he was 15, profoundly impacting his ability to connect intimately afterward. It took time for him to feel comfortable with me in that regard, and despite the therapy he has undergone with the family doctor's suggested therapist, he still can experience triggering responses to unexpected physical contact. The party, unfortunately, ended abruptly due to his sister's furious reaction. I took my boyfriend upstairs to his old room at his parents' house. They live 3 hours out of town, and tried to comfort him for the rest of the evening. Not only did he feel violated by someone he had known his whole life, but he also felt that he was letting me down on my birthday due to his upset, which hurt more since he didn't need to worry about dampening my special day. Eventually, he managed to calm down. The following morning was difficult. He informed his mother his father was at work, so he couldn't tell him, and his siblings about what happened with Mia. They only knew that something had happened, causing my boyfriend to become upset, but they were unaware of the specifics. My boyfriend's parents had spent most of the party upstairs, so they missed Mia's drunken behavior and only heard his sister shouting at everyone to leave because the celebration was over. Opinions among family members were divided regarding the situation. While everyone agreed that Mia had overstepped, his brother defended her by insisting that she was intoxicated and unaware of her actions, claiming they had known her for so long that she wouldn't behave that way if she were sober. This defense led to arguments between my boyfriend, his sister, and their brother, which prompted their mother to intervene, urging everyone to settle down. Ultimately, we decided to leave as tensions escalated further between my boyfriend's sister and brother. My boyfriend offered to drive his sister home, and we booked a hotel for the night before returning to his place the next morning. The drive home lasted about 3 hours, and we departed early, so I mostly napped while he drove. However, by the time we arrived, his phone was inundated with messages. His sister remained furious about the incident and decided to message Mia with a few choice words, ultimately hurling insults at her, which provoked Mia. She sent my boyfriend a lengthy paragraph filled with vulgar language, criticizing him for sharing the incident and asserting that he should understand she didn't mean it. She claimed he hadn't been this sensitive until he met me and tried to portray me as a bad influence. She also told him to let go of what happened with his ex, arguing that it was in the past. I was certain she included a variety of negative comments about me and the situation, but he didn't allow me to view the message. I knew it was severe enough for him to decide to end their friendship. Although he had been contemplating it beforehand, He is a kind person, and likely would have overlooked her behavior due to her inebriation had she not sent him that message. In the days following the incident, and until just a couple of days ago, I have been spending nearly every day with my boyfriend at his home. On Thursday night, I received a message request from Mia on Facebook. Her long-winded message revolved around how I needed to help my boyfriend think clearly again, and how I was supposedly infiltrating his mind. Some parts of her message expressed apology, while other sections contained abusive language, particularly when she brought up my boyfriend's past experiences and expressed disbelief that he trusts me, stating that foreign individuals cannot be trusted. I am part Italian and Persian. I delayed responding to her message. I typed out numerous possible replies, but eventually chose not to respond to her absurd message. Now, I genuinely do not know if I should inform my boyfriend about her message. Update. I had this in my draft since I wrote it very early in the morning and needed to review it to ensure it was coherent and free of errors, as I tend to include a lot of information. Since writing this, she has messaged me again, insisting that I should not blindly side with my boyfriend because he is reacting from a place of trauma and not thinking clearly. She believes that I, of all people, should be the one to reach out to him because things have escalated too far now. Story 3. Hook up with a friend's ex-situationship. Throwaway account due to obvious reasons. Warning, lengthy narrative ahead. I, male, 28, am currently entangled in a complicated and perplexing scenario, and I am struggling to determine the best course of action. I seek some guidance. Background. My now ex-girlfriend and I recently ended our relationship, which has left me embracing single life. The breakup was entirely unrelated to Anne and stemmed from different reasons. A close friend of mine, male, 29, will refer to him as John, had a brief romantic involvement with a woman, female, 30, whom we will call Anne, lasting approximately 4 to 5 months some time ago. Their relationship did not progress because John was not interested in becoming exclusive or investing as much as Anne wished. He ended things 2.5 years ago, but they eventually rekindled a friendship. I met Anne shortly after their split. There has always been a noticeable connection between Anne and me. However, since I was then in a committed relationship, nothing developed further at that time. Both John and Anne have since dated various people and openly share their dating experiences with each other without any apparent jealousy. Now, onto the current situation. I was at a bar with a group of friends, which included John and Anne. That evening, Anne and I engaged in considerable flirting and eventually hooked up. It felt instinctive given the dynamics of the situation and our mutual chemistry, leading me to perceive nothing inappropriate. The following morning, Anne revealed to me that John had expressed a desire to revisit their past relationship while I was absent. I was blindsided by this news, considering the history between them. See background. Anne was equally taken aback. Later that day, I called John to discuss the events. I later learned he was already aware of them. I expressed my surprise and initial lack of knowledge about his feelings. I made it clear that had they shared a serious relationship, I would not have pursued a romantic encounter with her without first consulting him, which holds true. I also conveyed that I had always been somewhat attracted to Anne and would like to date her now that there is potential. John attempted to respond graciously, insisting he did not want to obstruct anything between us. Nevertheless, I sensed unease in his tone, indicating he was not entirely comfortable with the situation. I apologized for failing to communicate with him beforehand, and we agreed that he should take a week or two to reflect on the matter and communicate his feelings. He is a valued friend of mine as well as Anne's, and I wish to preserve that friendship. The next day, I spoke with Anne to clarify a few things. We both acknowledged the enjoyable evening we shared and expressed a desire to continue seeing each other casually, exploring where it might lead. However, John's feelings complicate the situation. We decided to wait 10 days to see if anything changes with him, after which we would reconvene to discuss our options. As time passed, John did not bring up the situation during the entire week and seemed to behave relatively normally around me, though I still sensed some underlying tension. I have reflected on our circumstances, and despite my respect for John's past with Anne, I find it challenging to honor his sudden shift in attitude. It feels as if he has already had his chance with her, made his choice, and now must accept the consequences. Eventually, the day arrives when Anne and I meet to deliberate our next steps. She disclosed that she and John had met the previous day, as he wanted to talk as well. He acted flirtatiously, and they shared a brief kiss, which she now regrets. Anne struggles to envision herself rekindling a relationship with John and prefers to remain friends with him while also exploring her connection with me. After this conversation, things between us gradually became more flirtatious, accompanied by significant sexual tension, and perhaps this is where I went wrong. We eventually had sex again, and John remains unaware of this. Fast forward a few days, Anne is scheduled to see John and another friend at an event. John attempts to flirt with her again, which Anne finds somewhat uncomfortable. Later that same evening, John, a friend group, and I are headed to a show, during which he inquires about my conversation with Anne. I informed him that it went well, omitting any details about our recent hookup. He mentioned wanting to try various approaches to rekindle Anne's interest in him. I was caught off guard and had no suitable response, ultimately stating that it was up to them to sort things out. What should I do now? I feel lost regarding my next steps. Anne and I share a strong attraction, and it seems she is not inclined to pursue a relationship with John again. I am struggling to respect John's sudden change in circumstances while also not wanting to jeopardize our friendship with him. I recognize that these situations often defy rational thought, and emotions can be quite turbulent. I certainly know I cannot handle this drama forever. It feels reminiscent of high school. I see two potential paths forward. A. I could inform John that Anne and I have been intimate again and wish to continue seeing one another, hoping he will truly be okay with that, instead of merely pretending to accept the situation, risking his anger for what might feel like betrayal. B. Or I could choose to end things with Anne, a decision I would find painful, allowing John his perceived chance, which may ultimately lead to disappointment. What course of action should I take? Is there a third option I have not considered? Am I justified in my actions? Am I being a poor friend? Is John in the wrong for reinitiating feelings? Must I take the high road and let Anne go for the sake of my friendship with John? Should I tell John to step back? Please offer clarity or a dose of harsh reality, as I am quite confused at this moment. Summary. A few hookups with a friend's former romantic interest from 2 years ago have resulted in an uncomfortable love triangle, as both Anne and I wish to continue our relationship, while John now wants to rekindle his past connection with her, and none of us want to harm our friendship with him. I need guidance on how to navigate this situation and whether my responses are justified.